Toy, 30th of November 2023, the reason behind India's refusal to participate in China's Belt and Road Initiative. China intends to impose its will on those influenced by it through the BRI. The globe is now more interconnected and dependent on one another than ever in human history. Not only is this trend unstoppable, but it will only grow more potent in influencing how humanity develops in the future. Nowadays, regional collaboration and interconnection are the most reliable means of advancing a country's, or rather, the region's, development, wealth, and even security. Countries see each other less as threats and more as partners when they profit from mutual dependency and cooperation. Europe became a region of peace and progress after quickly realizing this lesson following the end of World War II. This lesson was also applied by the countries of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, Asean, which aided in the quick development of many of them. See Asian tigers in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam for evidence. China is currently seeking connectedness and cooperation on an unprecedented scale and with an unparalleled regionally and worldwide. It is creating networks of collaboration and connectivity through its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, across Asia, a continent comprising 48 countries and home to 4.8 billion people, or 60% of the world's population, but also in Africa, Europe, and far-off Latin America. BRI has indeed encountered several difficulties since launching in 2013. This is expected of any innovative endeavor involving significant debt and high-interest loans. In October, Beijing hosted the third BRI summit, attended by up to 152 countries. Less than 6 countries have left the BRI, and the number rises as nations become more intelligent. China's approach to neighborhood integration. A country's foreign policy is best assessed by the connectedness and cooperation of its neighbors. The nations of Afghanistan, Bhutan, India, Kazakhstan, North Korea, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Mongolia, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, and Vietnam are among the 14 countries with which China shares a land borders. Except for Bhutan and India, 12 have already been established and delineated. Under Chinese pressure, Bhutan and China will soon end their boundary issue and establish diplomatic ties. Mistreatment. China's regional connectivity, commerce, business, and people-to-people ties are gradually expanding with most of its neighbors. The two provinces in its far west, Xinjiang, and far south, Yunnan, are where the advantages of this approach are most evident. When I went to Xinjiang in June, I witnessed its incredible change. Before a few decades ago, it was impoverished, isolated, and backward. Now, it is emerging as China's Xinjiang, the country's futuristic entry point to Central Asia, Eurasia, and even some regions of West and South Asia. However, this is quickly declining. I saw an even more striking change when I was there during the second week of November. Like Bihar in India, Yunnan is one of China's least developed provinces. They are both confined by land. Nonetheless, Yunnan's gross domestic output, $428 billion, is more than 4 times bigger than Bihar's, $94 billion, while having a population that is less than half that of Bihar, 125 million. Yunnan's capital, Kunming, performs significantly better than Patna and most other state capitals in India regarding exports, visitor arrivals, high-tech industries, clean air and water, different environmental standards, citizen safety, exports, and universities. However, this is not sustainable development. BRI has been beneficial to Kunming. It currently enjoys an expensive bullet train service to neighboring Laos. Laos, one of the poorest nations in Asia, is quickly modernizing. I took this train from Kunming to Mangla, a little yet lovely town near the border between China and Laos. This bullet train experience was far superior to anything I've had in Europe regarding comfort and speed, over 300 km/h. China intends to expand its network of bullet trains to include stops in Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and Malaysia. Here's another illustration of how Southeast Asia's less developed nations are being drawn into the Chinese debt trap by their regional connectedness. China constructed a stunning new international airport in Siem Reap in October. It was unnecessary and came with a high debt-to-interest ratio. The most incredible Hindu-Buddhist temple in the world, Angkor Wat, was built in Siem Reap in 1113 AD. Tens of thousands of Indian tourists will undoubtedly be drawn to Cambodia, Thailand's neighbor and popular travel destination, by this eighth wonder of the world. In terms of air, train, and road connections, where is South Asia? In terms of air, train, and road connections, where is South Asia? Unfortunately, neither direct flights between Bangladesh and Pakistan nor between India and Pakistan exist. The Kuan-Myung dialogue between South and Southeast Asia and China. My trip to Yunnan was prompted by a seminar on bolstering China's ties with South and Southeast Asian nations, dubbed the Kuan-Myung Dialogue, arranged by the Communist Party of China's International Department, IDCPIC. Aside from academics and authors, notable political party officials from each nation, aside from astute India, were there. As the only participant from India who identified as a communist, I was expressing my opinions as a freelance political activist. IDCPIC had prepared two inquiries for the conversation. First, what is the significance of the recent shifts in U.S. policy toward Asia for the regional situation, and how should we interpret them? The second question is, how can Asia create a narrative that promotes consensus for regional and international cooperation and development while escaping the trap of competing narratives? During the conference, I presented 5 ideas, but I was clear that India should avoid falling into the Chinese BRI trap.